Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the deadly attack on a community in Zamfara state and ordered the arrest of the perpetrators. The police in the state say 18 people were killed by bandits, but witnesses put the death toll at a much higher figure. The villagers say the figure could be as high as 41 and blames herders for the attack. The police, however, dismissed that notion, insisting the attack was carried out by bandits. President Buhari has now directed the Minister of Defense, Mansur Dan Ali, to move to Zamfara state to perform an underground assessment of the situation. He has also ordered the deployment of security agencies to the community to ensure the perpetrators are brought to book. Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has directed the military to flush out bandits whose activities have been linked to the farmers-herdsmen crisis. He gave the directive at the National Economic Council meeting, which was held on Thursday. The Vice President also assured that the federal government will not impose on any state types of solution to adopt regarding the crisis. The Council also asked a committee headed by the Vice President to look into the issues of rebuilding the affected communities by providing welfare. The Nigerian Army has announced a 3 million naira cash reward for anyone with credible information that will lead to the arrest of factional Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau. A statement by the Nigerian government advised anyone with credible information to report to the military through its official number 193. The announcement comes just days after the army said Shekau has resorted to disguising as a woman to evade the Nigerian military. The army said the information was gathered from the confessions of arrested Boko Haram terrorists. Meanwhile, Nigeria's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has set up a committee to probe the underage voting in Kano State. Mahmood Yakubu, chairman of the electoral body, disclosed this at a workshop in Lagos on Friday. Pictures and videos of children voting at the just concluded Kano local government election last week had raised concerns on the credibility of elections conducted by the commission. INEC, which has distanced itself from the election conducted by the Kano State Electoral Agency, has now set up a panel chaired by a national commissioner to investigate the matter. Yakubu assured that the findings of the panel will be made public. Meanwhile, some Nigerians have been mobilizing people to vote in the upcoming general election. A coalition of civil society organizations under the umbrella of One Voice Nigeria on Friday held a rally in Lagos to mobilize people of voting age to register and get their voters' card. Tagged "My Voice, My Vote," they marched from the National Stadium to the INEC office in the city and is calling on Nigerians to come out in their numbers and get their voters' card ahead of the 2019 general elections. Gathered here are various civil society groups who have come out for a single purpose: to call on the general public to register to vote in next year's general election.
We just want to have a voice. We just want to be able to, we want them to have to reckon with us. We want them to have to check with us if they're giving somebody a ticket to run for office. We want them to have to check with us to say, you know what, are the policies that we are doing, is it favoring the people of Nigeria? The power belongs to the people, but for decades, for so many years, we've done the same thing. So we've given up that power. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the people to take that power back.
Carrying placards of various inscriptions, the group set out in their numbers, walking through the streets and encouraging everyone they meet to ensure they register, get their voters' card, and vote in the upcoming elections. They soon arrive at their destination, and already waiting for them are some officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
We are here officially at the INEC office to convey to you our support for your civic registration exercise going on, your continuous voter registration exercise, and also to help in mobilizing voters to register.
The biggest thing we're doing with voter, there are two parts of it. One, people are registering so they can sell their vote. But at the end of the day, we're telling people that until you, and because you sell your vote on election day, you wait for 4 more years to do it again. The point is, if you invest in the process and you stand, and it's not about, This campaign is very non-partisan, so we don't care who it is, but we're saying get your voter's card and use that to help even political parties determine who it is they put on the ballot. Because, I mean, Banky W just gave a challenge. Imagine if 100,000 people say, you know what, in this Surulere local government, this is the type of person we want to represent us in the National Assembly. He must be someone of credibility, must have shown capacity, a track record that shows that he can serve, and we begin to demand who we think represents us. But we're doing that by showing that we have the power to vote. You can talk all you want, but if politicians know that you can't vote and you won't vote, you don't matter. So that's why this is really driven around registration.
Let's get new voters in. Let's get people who've never voted before, people who are frustrated, people who don't believe they can ever be changed. Let's get them involved. We want 100,000 people to convince 10 people each to vote. That would give us 1 million new voters. Now, if you get more than 10, if you get 20, better. If you get 50, even better. If you get 100 people to register to vote from today, February 16th, the first 100 people to get 100 new voters registered will get 10,000 naira each. And that's the first thing that we're starting with.
This rally is about, encouraging people to go out to vote. Go and vote. Go and get your voter's card and vote so that you have a voice.
The 2019 general elections have been scheduled for February 2019. INEC is currently conducting a voter registration exercise. The Commission says it has registered around 71 million people so far, but it is hoping to register around 80 million before the election. However, quite a number of those who have registered have not gone to collect their cards. It is part of what this group is hoping to change and ensure greater turnout in the elections. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated South Africa's new president, Cyril Ramaphosa, on his election and inauguration. Ramaphosa, who replaces Jacob Zuma, was elected by South Africa's parliament on Thursday and was sworn in shortly after. Zuma resigned on Wednesday night after he was accused of corruption. President Buhari, in a statement, expressed willingness to work with Ramaphosa to enhance cooperation of the governments of Africa's two leading economies. He also praised Zuma for his statesmanship, wishing him well in his future endeavors. The Imo State government has said the statue of the former South African President Jacob Zuma erected by his administration will not be pulled down. Zuma's statue is among the 7 statues erected by the Rochas Okorocha government in Owerri. Some residents in the state had demanded that the statue be brought down since Zuma's resignation on Wednesday. The government, however, insists the statue will remain standing, arguing that it was erected when Zuma was the president of South Africa. Looking at more stories now, a federal high court in Abuja has adjourned the trial of a former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoke, a former Minister for Petroleum Dan Etete, and multinational oil firms Shell Nigeria Limited and ENI. The trial has been adjourned to June 2018. The accused are facing trial for the illegal sale of OPL 245 oil block. The trial was expected to resume on Thursday but was adjourned following the failure of the prosecuting team led by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to produce some of the defendants in court. Defense lawyer Johnson Ojugbane had complained that the commission is finding it difficult to locate the accused persons because they are currently outside the country. He prayed the court for an adjournment to allow the federal government ample time to secure their attendance in the case. A federal high court in Abuja has suspended the trial of a former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, till March 22, 2018. The trial judge, Justice Hussein Baba Yusuf, adjourned the case following a motion raised by the counsel to the former NSA, Adiola Adedikpe. Adedikpe had asked the court to hold proceedings to await the ruling of the Supreme Court on the appeal filed by Dasuki. Although the counsel to the federal government vehemently opposed the application, the judge, however, agreed to an adjournment. In his ruling, Justice Yusuf agreed with Dasuki's counsel that it is better for the court to wait for the outcome of the appeal filed by Dasuki at the Supreme Court. Lawyers in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, say they will hold a march on Tuesday to protest police brutality. The Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association say the decision to hold the protest was taken at an emergency meeting last week. The march, which will start at the Secretariat of the Lawyers and end at the Lagos State Government House, is scheduled for February 20th, 2018.
The essence of this our press conference today is to sensitize the populace on our planned peaceful protest march against police brutality. What we have found over time is that particularly the men of this task force in Lagos State, hiding under the auspices of the governor's office that they work for, are brutalizing innocent citizens.
We want Lagos State government to know that the people you have appointed to take care of the environment of Lagos State, they are treating those people you are governing as animals, and we are not animals. We want the Lagos State House of Assembly that we are going to approach to see if there is any reason to change the law, the enactment law that establishes this body. This particular law allows them to put police officers in charge. Probably they can take that law and put a civilian to head that department. Maybe we are going to see human face.
It is obvious that the Nigerian police does not feel responsible to the Nigerian people. They arrest them whimsically, humiliate them whimsically, extort them whimsically, kill them whimsically. Extrajudicial activities happen in the police. They are seen as a terror, and nothing is being done. It's getting even worse, and it's escalated to the point of even the lawyers themselves, who routinely interact with the police for the sorting out of people who have problems with the law, are now themselves being targeted.
Madam, madam, welcome. Okay, madam, no worry. When you deliver the balance, we'll give you the goods.
No problem. No problem. All right, so now well done.
Thank you. Hey, Oga, I still say she don't bring money. Maybe we'll use this one for her now. She wants mahogany, not white wood. Oga, our work now to join wood together, deliver whatever to customer. Put the remaining profit for pocket.
Abba, this is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Glad to have you back. Nigeria's inflation rate has continued a steady fall, coming down to 15.13% for the month of January. This represents the 12th straight month the rate has fallen. Analysts say the stability of the naira and other factors are drivers of the disinflation. TV360 spoke with experts and traders on this issue.
The January 2018 National Bureau of Statistics reports say inflation in the country has fallen to 15.13% for the month of January, leaving the current rate at 0.24% lower than what was recorded in December. Also, the food price index shows inflation at 18.92% in January compared to 19.42% in December. Meanwhile, other indices like the headline index increased by 0.80%. On month-on-month basis, urban index rose by 0.83%, while the rural index rose by 0.77%. It is believed that the rise in food index is caused by increases in prices of imported food in general, as well as bread and cereal, milk, cheese and eggs, vegetables, fish, coffee, tea and cocoa, meat, potatoes, yam and other tubers, and oil and fat.
Significant downtrend. It was down about 50 basis points, and that's just largely due to, in our opinion, the high base that we saw from last year. So last year, because when the naira depreciated, what we saw was that it became more attractive for neighboring West African countries to import food produce from Nigeria. So that drove the prices higher in terms of domestic food produce. So when you compare it to now, where the currency is now more stable, that because of that high base from last year, so when you compare it on a year-on-year basis, it makes it look more attractive. So that's what drove that downtrend, just like the from food inflation, lower food inflation year on year.
Though the consumer price index continues a steady fall, traders in the market say it has minimal positive impact on the prices of goods as they keep increasing.
We are having little increase and some company reduce the price. Like the water, the Ragolis water, like last year, we are selling, I think they had a little increase in the price. They just added like 20 naira. The Eva water, they increased their price. And even their mineral, the glass, they increased the price also. But some products actually reduced the price because of poor sales. They are not having sales like before because of the high price. So they have to bring down the price. Like those little water, like that was 450, now 400. But this big company, they don't even mind. They still increase the price. So everything is still the same.
As at this year, the price have increased. Let's say some by 30, some by 20%. As at this year. Because by, let's say for example now a rice at December last year, we bought it at 30,000. Now they are selling at 40,000 in G Kappa. So the same thing with sugar too, they have increased the price. So the same thing with other things like these tomatoes, tin tomatoes and all the rest. Those have increased also with 10%. Plantain. We know that plantain is seasonal food. By this time now, we are getting away from the seasoning of plantain, so the price has increased.
Experts, however, says there are lots of other factors to consider for the decrease in inflation to be felt by the man on the streets.
Nigeria is highly food dependent, so we sort of import most of the food items that we eat. And you're looking at the power situation. I mean, electricity is actually, the price of power is actually pulling down businesses. So these are situations, or rather factors that the government have to look at in order for the trickle-down effect to actually reach the man on the street, because companies, businesses have to factor this in the cost of production. I mean, if electricity is high, if the import of raw materials is high, they have to factor this down, and this will actually translate down to the consumers.
The January inflation rate of 15.13%, as reported by the National Bureau of Statistics, further confirms Nigeria's improving economy fundamentals for now, while all eyes are fixed on the February 27, 2018 release date for the 2017 Q4 and full-year GDP data, which is expected to give the true position of things for the period. Ngozi Okoye, TV360, Lagos.
The Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachiku, has directed the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation to ensure that fuel queues disappear in the nation's capital, Abuja. Kachiku gave the directive while briefing the media on the situation of the scarcity and efforts by the government to solve it ahead of the upcoming International Oil and Gas Conference and Exhibition scheduled for Abuja.
Improvement in that. So I will be instructing NNPC whatever it takes to ensure that I do not bring visitors here next week that will experience fuel queue. They will have to, quite frankly, do whatever it takes to get this eliminated in Abuja. So that will be the directive I'll be sending to NNPC and let them work night and day and put a lot more effort in trying to do that. I can tell you that behind the scenes a lot of meetings are taking place, because the fuel queue issue is both a logistics and a policy issue. We will need to address the fundamental policy issues to enable it go away, especially in an area where the pricing is showing the differential between the landed price and the sale price. So we need to work backwards to see what we need to do to continue to sell at 145. The President obviously is very committed in keeping the price of fuel at the price where it is, because he realizes and he sympathizes with the sufferings of Nigerians and that sort of stuff. We did a massive price hike last year, 2 years ago under me. We don't intend to do that again. So we need to work backwards. So it requires a lot of efficiency re-engineering. And that's one of the things that both NNPC and most of the parastatals who are involved in this are doing. So give us a bit of time, a little bit patient, but I do take your point. I will hate for my colleagues to come here and see fuel queues happening. So my directive today to NNPC will be, whatever it takes, get those queues out of Abuja over the period.
At the end of the week's trading session, the Nigerian stock market had a volatile session in continuation of its 2 days recovery move. Meanwhile, the composite all-share index added 34.43 points to close at 42,638.83, representing an appreciation of 0.08%. The number of decliners outnumbered advancers in the ratio of 30 to 26. Some of the equities that soared high today include Nestle, Nascon Allied Industries, Zenith Bank, and Transcorp Hotels PLC. Price depreciation recorded by Nigerian Breweries and Access Bank, two big stocks in the market, did not help. CAP, LC, and Ecobank Transnational Incorporated was also among the day's losers. Transaction volume for the day was considerably boosted by a mix of the different sectors like Linkage Assurance PLC, Transnationwide Express PLC, International Brewers, and Stanbic IBTC topping the activity chart as most traded. A total turnover of 815.854 million shares worth 8.03 billion naira in 4,808 deals traded on the floor of the investor exchange. Egypt's military and police forces say they have killed 53 Islamist militants and arrested 680 suspects in a week-long offensive to crush insurgents. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who is seeking re-election in March, ordered the armed forces in November to defeat militants within 3 months after an attack on a mosque in Sinai killed more than 300 people. The attack was the deadliest of its kind in Egypt, which is the Arabs' world's most populous country and a main regional ally of the United States. The security operation, which involved the Army, Navy, Air Force, and police, began last Friday and targeted terrorist and criminal elements and organizations in North and Central Sinai, parts of the Nile Delta and Western deserts. Fortuna Sittard have threatened to take legal action against Sunday Olise over his claims that the Dutch Second Division club wanted him to violate the law. Olise had claimed that the club suspended him because he refused to follow their orders. The club has, however, denied any wrongdoing and says they will file a legal action against the former Eagles coach. Cross River State has been stripped of the right to host the 19th National Sports Festival. The decision was announced at the National Council on Sports meeting in Kaduna on Thursday. Cross River was awarded the right to host the 2014 festival at the last edition of the multi-sport event at ECO 2012 hosted by Lagos State. However, the competition suffered multiple delays due to the state's failure to provide the required facilities for the festival, which was first held at the National Stadium in Lagos in 1973. The Super Eagles dropped 1 place from 51 to 52 in the February World Ranking released by FIFA on Thursday. Nigeria began 2018 by retaining the position they dropped to in December, but the team could not maintain the spot and slid down a spot in February. In the rankings, the Eagles have 606 points against the 651 points they had in the January rankings. They are currently 7th in Africa. Well, that's it on News Now. Thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha.